Thanks for tuning in to the episode of The Aydin Show, sponsored by our friends at Casa Homes. Enjoy the show. Welcome to The Aydin Show. The word Aydin means enlighten. That's exactly our goal. This podcast is enlighten you, share knowledge and wisdom, and inspire our youth. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Ahmed Oruch, and today's guest is Baris Nezif. Welcome.
Hello, Ahmed. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure's all mine, brother. Look, I was watching something on social media and you popped up. It was a clip years ago about a man that stole a car from Shepparton and was in a massive high-speed cop chase. I think he somehow got away and he came to Northland Shopping Centre, and that's where you were. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, that was in 2000. It was actually my first year as a security officer. So, coming from a troubled childhood, always getting in trouble with the coppers, and I got my security license. It was interesting times for me. So anyway, that was my probably my fifth shift working at that shopping centre. I had a good friend that was the supervisor there, so he got me in, and I was doing static duties upstairs.
What's static?
Static is like the cinemas were still operating at Northland.
Okay.
And downstairs, the rest of the shopping centre was closed. So we had barricades, and I was like pretty much guarding the barricades so no one goes through the barricades into the rest of the centre. So I was just hovering around there, half asleep. Yeah, and didn't know anything about the incident that was going on. And I just, leaning on a counter, half asleep, and I see this guy running into the centre from the entrance like a bat out of hell, and just like pole vaults over these barricades, which are about as tall as me, and starts running through the centre. So I was like, so I called my supervisor on the two-way, and I'm like, this is happening. He's like, I'll get visual of him on the cameras, which he did, and he's like, catch him. He goes, chase him. I go, all right. And back then I'm Superman. I'm fit.
Yep.
So I start chasing him in the centre. Then my supervisor came halfway through. We met up, and we're both chasing him. And I hit turbo with the legs, caught up to him.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I grabbed him. I go, what are you doing? And he turned around, he had a screwdriver in one hand, a syringe in the other, and he's like, pardon the French, but he goes, you know who the I am? He goes, I'll put a hole in you.
Yeah.
I go, all right, my supervisor grabbed me. He goes, let him go. I go, all right. So, we're letting him go. He ran out the other side, the Coles end, which was still open. We're chasing him. My supervisor goes, he was on the phone to the police. He goes, we'll just keep visual of him till he gets out of here. I go, all right, fair enough. Yeah, we're letting him go. And in the car park, there was at the entrance, there was a mother putting a little toddler, you could say, 6 months, not even a year-old child in the back seat of her car. Clicked the kid in, and she's got her keys in her mouth. This bloke ran up from behind her, bowled her over, ripped the keys out of her mouth, closed the door, and ran around the other side. I don't even know if he realised there was a kid in the car. He was that off his head.
Wow.
Yeah, he ran around the other side of the car, opened the door, and he's trying to get the keys to the ignition. And the mum's just going crazy, And my supervisor's grabbing me, and I shrugged him off. I go, piss off, man.
What's he trying to do? He's trying to hold you back.
Yeah, because he knew what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
I was trying to get at him, and he's in the car. I went over to him, I opened his door. I go, get out, man, And lucky there were a lot of keys on the key ring. He couldn't find the key for the ignition. And as soon as I opened the door, gave the chance for the mum, she just ran and quickly got her kid out of the car.
Yep.
This guy just jumped out. His eyes were like, how can I describe it? He was just peeking. He just
looked off his face.
And like the look in his eyes, like he didn't talk. He just lunged at me. He just wanted to kill me, pretty much.
Wow. So
Yeah.
how did he lunge at you? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, so he had a screwdriver, he had a syringe in one hand,
Yeah.
and he was coming for the kill.
Well, when I opened the door, it's like I got his attention away from still in the car, and it's like he just jumped out with the screwdriver. He had the screwdriver. I can't even remember if I seen the syringe. I just remember the screwdriver. He jumped out with the screwdriver, and he just zoned in on me, and it was like, how can I explain it? Like, in my head, I'm lucky at making quick decisions.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where that comes from in situations like that.
Must be from your kickboxing career.
And my probably upbringing, you know, which wasn't the best, but quick decisions. And I'm thinking, if I turn around, this guy's going to stab me. Like, it was that split second, if I'd have turned around, he would have lunged at me and stabbed me, because we were like, you know, a meter apart.
Yep.
I'm like, if I turn around, he's going to stab me. So in my head, 100%, I'm convinced I'm going to get stabbed. 100%. All right. So I thought, stuff it. I'm gonna go down fighting. I'm gonna land something on him. I'm gonna try to.
Even if you got stabbed.
Yeah, I'm gonna land something on him. You know what I mean? Because in my head, I thought, turn around, stabbed, fight him, get stabbed, getting stabbed either way.
Yeah.
So
even if you caught one, at least you got to give him one.
Yeah, that was my thought process at
Amazing.
the time. So I'm thinking, I don't want to get into a fist fight with him. I don't want to get too close to him, you know. And lucky I know how to fight. And back then I was at my peak, you know. And, you know, in the ring I was doing a lot of damage with my legs, and like I could kick, yeah.
How old were you?
Back then. How old was I? I was about 25.
Okay.
You know, and I was like at my peak in kickboxing pretty much. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to kick him as hard as I can, you know. I know how to kick, like, you're 2 meters away, I'll land the kick on you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I just cracked him in the arm. I got him in the arm with my shin. I felt my shin on his elbow.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, beautiful. Like, I found my mark. 1, 2, 3. I kicked him about 3 times. He buckled down. I think I broke his arm. It was later in the film clip. When I seen him on the news, he had his arm in a cast or something, I think.
Yeah.
Buckled down, and I didn't hold back. I just booted him in the head as hard as I could, and he just dropped. Yeah. You know, and when that happened, I saw a chopper, cop cars instantly just from everywhere. Mm-hmm. Sergeant came out with the divvy van, opened the back of the divvy van, grabbed him, just threw him in the divvy van. And that was that. Gone.
Wow. Because, so there was, I'm guessing, some media there. There was, we saw, what I was watching was on Channel 9 News.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were asking you a couple of questions about it.
That was the next day. I couldn't believe it. I don't know how they got my address. Next day at Channel 9, 7, 10, knocking on my door.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
I mean, it's a big thing, because you've got this little kid in the back of the car. This guy could have, taken off. God knows what he could have done to this little girl. Like, he could have raped her, murdered her, got into a really big accident and put her life in danger. So I think, it's definitely.
Look, I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think he would have went down the rape path or anything like that to the little girl. But when someone's that affected by drugs,
you don't know exactly.
He's just come from a 4-hour cop chase. So obviously he did not want to get caught. He didn't care what was in the back seat. He would have drove like a maniac if he did get away. And God, he would have had no care factor who or what is in the back seat, because he's the only thing on his mind is, I'm not getting caught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So...
Melbourne. He was caught by a kickboxing champion an hour and a half after the pursuit began.
Which failed to stop near Murchison in central Victoria. A chase followed, reaching speeds believed to be up to 175 kilometres an hour. Champion and Northland security guard Baris Nezif went to the woman's aid, apprehending the 34-year-old.
I'm a dual world champion. I've got 2 world titles, so I've had 10 years training, so I thought I'd give it a crack. I got a better chance than anyone else.
On Wednesday.
Yeah.
What happened after that? Did you end up going court? Did you end up, did you end up seeing him again?
Look, he done a bit of time because of that incident. Because look, he had criminal history. extensive criminal history.
So he's been locked up before.
Yeah, so that I think got him locked up for about 5 years. That incident.
Mm-hmm.
Did go to court. wasn't much time spent in court because I mean all the evidence was stacked up against him. The police didn't really.
It's a go in, go out type of a thing.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was it. Had a lot of had death threats and people making phone calls to me after that. But
so when you went to jail, you started getting some phone calls and death threats. Why?
Look, with this boy, with this man, he was a lot of the Broady boys knew him back then, so he was local.
So he's connected.
Yeah, he was very well connected. Like I stayed away from trouble once I got married, but on the flip side, a lot of people, especially the old Broady crew, knew me. I was mates with a lot of them, even though I didn't hang out with them. Yeah, and I'm getting message from a few of my mates, you could say. Like, what's going on? What happened here? Gordon this and Gordon that.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, mate, they're not gonna let you. They're not gonna lie down with this. And it's like, mate, what do you want me to do? Even if I wasn't in uniform, I would have done the same thing. So, I offered to meet up with him. I ran into his brother after that, his older brother.
Yeah. What was that like? Was there any tenseness? Was there any?
Their only beef with me was, looks fair enough. Whatever happened. Why did you go on the news? Flashing your belts on TV, this and that, which is fair enough, But it was like, mate, I was caught off guard. It was no intention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know who your brother is.
I mean, your life was in danger. You could have got stabbed.
Yeah,
you
man.
weren't thinking about, okay, I'm gonna do this for media attention or anything.
Nah,
like
not
that.
at all.
Obviously not. So what he's saying is just pretty ridiculous. Yeah. But did you guys resolve it at the end?
Look, it got resolved in the end. It was plus I wasn't backing down till I've got a hard head. I'm like, the people that are sending me messages, I'm like, stop making phone calls to me, stop sending me messages. If they want to see me, I'll come there now. You know what I mean? That was my attitude.
Yeah.
And I had friends that weren't organising a meetup because I've got a hard head and obviously they got hard heads. Mm-hmm. Probably most likely would have ended bad.
Yep.
And I've got friends that do care for me at the end of the day. So it was resolved.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Look, I guess your father and family, they immigrated here from Cyprus because of a war. The Greek terrorist groups were killing innocent Turkish civilians. What was life like for your family after that? Where did you guys live in Melbourne? So you mentioned Broady. Yeah. Whereabouts?
Well, we're in the middle of the Bronx, you could say. Back then, I was
the Bronx, so next to Bunnings. Everyone knows the Bronx.
Yeah, pretty much. Down the Bronx back then with the Broady flats across the road from the Bunnings.
Yeah.
I was down the road, so we were living in a commission flat down there.
Was Bunnings always there?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
No.
So it was like an empty block.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were living down there, and I was going to Meadow Glen Primary School, which is around the corner. That were primary school days, yeah.
Yeah. What was it like at the Bronx growing up?
Look, I was a young kid. I was in primary school, yeah. So, we always hear fights and things happening there, But like I said, I was a young kid. I had a few friends that lived there. Kids. I used to go up there and muck around. One day I came home with a syringe. I found a syringe, and I brought it home and I showed my dad. I go, "What's this?" I go, "Papa, what's this?" Because I'm a young kid. I'm in grade 4 or whatever. I never seen a syringe before.
Yeah.
And he just lost it. A couple of years after that incident, we left Broady and went up to Epping Way.
Okay.
So
he saw that. He's like, okay, I've got to start cleaning myself away from the Bronx. Yeah. A lot of drug dealers, a lot of crap going on even now down that way. So, yeah. Okay, so what was the relationship like between you and your father?
Yeah, look, it wasn't good, you know. Obviously, like my father, like most of the, how can I say it? A lot of the immigrants that came overseas, were maybe the same, you know. All my old man knew to do was work, and he worked very hard.
Yeah.
He worked very hard, and he wasn't good with family, you know. He wasn't good with his kid. Well, I was the only kid for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I just got a younger brother. We're 11 years apart, so I was pretty much the only child for a long time.
I guess a lot of, like you said, a lot of immigrants that come from, especially from where he's coming from. So he's coming from war, you know, that kind of affects some men.
And look, it goes back a generation. You know, my dad was the oldest, and back in Cyprus, you know, my grandfather, because he was the oldest, he always worked with my grandfather. So it was just work, provide. It was hard. It was different back then, you know. So I can't blame my dad for the way he was as well.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, look, yeah, our relationship wasn't good, you know.
Was there any verbal abuse or anything like that? Like, was he?
Not a lot towards me, but I did witness a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of violence in the household.
Yeah.
Which even today is, you know, rampant. But I witnessed a lot back then. And you know what? It affected me when I was older. So, you know, it affected me in my teenage years, affected me when I was older. And, you know, it even affects me today.
How do you think it affects you, though? Does it, like, affect you in a way where, you know, because you've seen that, you've grown into that, you know, environment, how does it stick?
Well, look, when a child and a young teenager or sees it at a young age, and it's constant, it would affect everyone in different ways, I guess, you know. But it affected me, like, it really affected me. It affected me during my marriages, you know. That's probably the cause of 2 of my marriage breakups, you know what I mean? It just hardened me inside, really. It just, how can I explain it? Put a shield over my heart. Emotionally, I was very detached. And that came through in my marriages, you know. So, you know, and
you didn't want to feel vulnerable. You didn't want to feel, you know, like someone can hurt you again. I guess something like that, maybe.
Yeah. Look, I mean, really, I got married first when I was 21. So that lasted 8 years. I got 2 kids to my first wife. Then I got married again, you know, 31, 32, whatever it was. That lasted 4 years.
Yeah.
Break up again. End of the day, I was from a young age, I was a very angry young man.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to control my anger.
Yeah. That
went through into my marriages. And, you know.
Do you think some of the trouble that you got into with, like, did it affect you in a way where, you know, you got in trouble with the police, you started doing a few wrong things?
Definitely, yeah. Especially in the teenage years, you know, and that was because of the crowd that I was around as well back then.
Yeah.
Got into a lot of trouble with police, and, you know, it was there. Don't even know how I got my security license when I did.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a story to that as well.
There is a story to that.
There's a good story to that as well. How I got my security license, but I was just, you know, people deal with anger different ways. You know, I'm 45 now, and it's like, because of my past, you know, because of those years, those violent and mentally, verbally traumatic experience that I had in the household, that's even affected me to today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But at least you realise it, though. At least you know that, okay, because of what's happened in the past, it's kind of what's sticking with me now, and I can see that there's a problem there that I need to resolve.
That's what it is. And, you know, a lot of people in my position, which there are heaps, don't acknowledge it, you know, and, you know, they just stays in someone if you don't fix it.
Yeah.
You'll never get rid of it.
You just die a bitter old man if you never do. Yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
the pride, the arrogance usually kind of gets in the way.
Yep.
Yeah. What was the streets like in the 90s in King Street, Dallas, Broadmeadows? You know, what did you guys get up to with the boys? Tell me a little bit about even school.
Yeah. School, you know, I was actually bullied at school. I mean, my primary school years were, like I said, Meadow Glen, around that area. And then year 7, I went to Gladstone Park High, and after year 7, we moved. So
you got bullied as well at school?
I did, especially when I went to Epping. I was Epping High. I was bullied flat out.
Yeah, it's because you were Turkish. You were a wog.
I mean, new kid at a new school.
As well, I guess also when you come from that type of family, you know, your confidence isn't there.
Yeah, I used to hang around with nerds, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know why I got bullied. I really don't know, but I know I did get bullied. And, yeah.
One of the things I teach my sons now, I mean, I got bullied as well when I was younger. One of the things I teach my son now is to keep his back straight, to be confident. And that obviously he's got his dad behind him. You know what I mean? He's got me teaching him how to be like at school, how not to get bullied.
Yeah.
You know, showing love towards him and all the rest of sort of that security. He knows that he can do anything.
That's right.
And unfortunately, when you don't have that, you are vulnerable.
Right.
Bullies can just, they can pick it up. They can sense it. You know, your shoulders are shroud. You don't look happy. You know, it's an easy sort of target.
100%.
Yeah. So, what else happened? Like, what were you guys doing at King Street? You know, what was that like in, say, the early 90s?
Early 90s, King Street. Well, that was...
Because we used to just hear stories. We used to hear, you know, the black dragons and you know, me, when I was very young, they were the type of stories, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was real back then, you know, and it was...
There's actually some courageous stories as well. Like there was a lot of Aussies that would pick on Turks, the women, and these guys would stand up for them. So I mean, there was some good causes.
Back then, you know, there was a lot of racism going around, you know, and back, you know, an example is back then, if you were called a wog, it was war, you know. If an Aussie called you a wog or something, it was like them fighting words, literally. Like that's bad. Like today, if you call the wog, it's like whatever. Yeah, I'm a wog. You know, I cook pasta or whatever. You know, but back then it was war. So, you know, what you said is true. You know, but King Street and that, like, we had our large groups. Like there was, you know, the Ford Gate boys and the 3047 boys and, you know, the Black Dragons and all that. What you're talking about, they were real, you know. And they
even, I think, Lebanese Tigers.
Yeah, Lebo Tigers. Yeah, they all stuck together, you know. And it was all I can think of is like what we got going on today. These Apex and all these young boys breaking into houses and carjacking and things like that. If they were around back then, mate, they would be hunted down. They wouldn't exist in Melbourne.
Wow.
You know, so these young boys that are doing that sort of stuff now, they got no morals.
Yeah.
At least back then, all our boys, we had morals. You know, get into fights or, you know, we wouldn't disrespect old people, our parents, or steal from our parents, or that sort of, well, majority, you know.
Yeah.
That sort of thing didn't exist. You know, when we went out, we just stuck together. You know, if we're going to fight, we'll fight men. You know, we're kids fighting men. Things like that. Not like today, like what these boys are doing.
Pull a knife out and...
Yeah, that didn't exist back then.
Or get in a really big group and jump one kid.
Nah, no way.
Take his phone, That happens a lot at Broady Station, unfortunately, even to today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, this is one I forgot. When I was a kid, I was at my grandmother's house in Broady. And across the road, there was a big family of Lebos. Literally about 10 of them, brothers, you know. And I was always fighting with the youngest brother that was my age. I was always fighting with him, you know, when I was at my grandmother's. He would always come out, pick on me, I'd fight him, you know what I mean? And it was, you know, just little, nothing major, just, you know, push and shove here and there.
Yeah.
And I was out on the street playing cricket one day with one of my mates across the road, and their older brothers came out. One of this kid that I'm feuding with, his older brother came out.
Okay.
There was about 15 of them.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I guess when you know you're fighting with someone younger, and then the brothers get involved, that's when things change around, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the change around how?
Like as in, it gets very tough for someone that's now fighting a kid. He's got to fight someone much older than him.
This is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
So his older brother came out, and there was about 3 older brothers, and there was about 10 of them in total, and I'm there by myself. My mate ran away. He shit himself, and I'm there. They all surrounded me, and I'm like, I am dead.
Yeah.
They're gonna kill me. The older brother looked at me. Yeah. He goes, "There's Zed." He goes, "You're always fighting." He goes, "Now you're gonna fight for real. Whoever wins, wins. Whoever doesn't, doesn't." He goes, "I promise you, no one's gonna jump in."
Wow.
I go, I looked at him, I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, really." He goes, "1-on-1. He goes, "Go." He goes, "I'm sick of all this feuding between you two."
Good on him.
Yeah, I go, "Yeah, all right." And I kid you not, we started fighting as kids. What was I? I was in grade 5, that young. We started fighting and I belted him. I had him on the ground. I was banging his head on the concrete at one point. And I just felt a hand grabbed me and ripped me off him. And that was it.
They didn't touch you.
They did not touch me. And the next day, hi, bye.
I come from a completely different generation. So that's
what
what
I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah. Like what I thought automatically was there's going to be a group of the because Turks and Lebos used to do it in my time. So they would have the one kid and they'll just all jump in and bash that guy, and there was no honour in that.
That's what I mean. And, I see him today. We're men and we haven't forgotten that day. And it's like we talk about it today. I saw him at the gym a couple of months ago and we talk about it.
Yeah.
And we're friends now. And it was like, good luck hearing about stories like that today.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Not at all. So what were you guys looking up to? Like, was there a figure during these times that you would look up to? I know during those times, Jalal Ilham was around. He was very big in kickboxing. Was there a reason why you had an interest in kickboxing?
Look, there was no, like I said, I was getting into a lot of trouble in my teens. Then I came to a climax where I was locked up for 2 weeks in juvenile detention. And I got out. This was probably when I was like 17. I got out and I always had an interest in fighting from movies, Rocky, Bruce Lee. Always had an interest in martial arts.
I think you were mentioning one of your favourites with Van Damme as well.
Yeah, well, Van Damme in 91 after I seen Kickboxer, that was it, And back then, talking 91, I was like 17 and, the Turkish community, would talk about Jamal Hassan. He was like kickboxing. He was kickboxing in Melbourne. And our fighter back then was, Jalal Ilhan, Jalal Abi Rahmetlik. And he was the man, because he was involved in soccer as well. The Turkish community was always behind him when he was fighting, And
for those that don't know Jalal Ilhan, he was a brother of Crazy Johns.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And he was smashing everyone back then. You know what I mean? And he had a Commonwealth title, Australian title, or whatever it was, and that's what drew me into Jamal Hassan's back then. Actually, I'll reverse that. What drew me into Jamal Hassan's when Jalal Abi was at his prime, Allah Rahmet Eylesin, he had one fight and he was going to fight for a world title. So, this picked up on a lot of Turkish communities' ears. Yeah, he's our man. He's going to go for a world title. Who back then, world title was a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's right. When I was 17, I went with a few mates to watch him fight for this world title eliminator. I think it was at Kilo basketball stadium. It was at a basketball stadium somewhere, you know. The first time I seen kickboxing was when I seen him fight. He fought this Aussie bloke in Jacobs.
I watched that.
Yeah, and it was like, I was in awe. Like, Jalal Abi, bashed him for the first 2-3 rounds, but the Aussie guy wasn't, Ian wasn't backing off. And then later, and he slowly fitness started going down.
Yeah, I saw that, running out of
steam. And, Ian ended up knocking him out. And it's like, I never seen anything like it. Like when he got knocked out, it was like he got shot. You know, hearing those hits, you know, when they were smashing each other, I'm like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, this is amazing, you know? And that's after that fight, I went to Jamal's.
What was the first thing you said to Jamal when you saw him?
Really, it's not, I want to train, I want to fight, you know, Hojam. And he's like, yeah, we've got a lot of people that want to train and fight here. Start training, you know? And that's what I did, start training, you know? Sparring every week, even though I didn't know how to fight, getting beat up.
So sparring with some of the guys that are about to have fights?
Yeah. I was
being new, I guess you got to go through the process.
You know, Jamal had his way back then. You know, he would throw us into the sharks as to speak, and it's either you sink or swim. You know.
Okay. Who else was there? Who else was at the gym?
Well, back then it was mainly the Ford Gate boys.
So the guys you grew up with,
not even. I didn't even know most of them back then. I didn't even know what Ford Gate was till I started training at Jamal's, because half of them were there. then I started, you know, knowing some of the Ford Gate boys, but you know, they were a bit older, and they always, you know, kept me on the side. They wouldn't let me get too close to them. Okay. You know, then we started going out, and that I used to see him here and there, and they were always worried that, you know, if I seen them doing something wrong or something, they were scared I'll go back and tell Jamal, and then they'll cop it in training. So
no way.
I was like the younger one. They would like wouldn't reveal much to.
Sounds funny. Look, what was the first amateur fight like? Tell me about, like, can you remember?
Yeah, that's my first fight. I can remember clearly. Like I was 17. I was doing Jamal's heading for almost a year. I want to fight. He's like, you can't fight till you're 18 in Melbourne. I want to fight every week. Then like one day he came up to me, he goes, do you want to fight? He goes, I'll fight for you in Adelaide. You can fight when you're 17 in Adelaide. Beautiful. Training like an animal. We drove up to Adelaide. There were a few of us. We drove up to Adelaide. And
just for your fight? Or did he organise others to fight as well?
Tibet Hamza, he had an exhibition fight.
Okay.
So it was just his exhibition fight and my real fight, my first fight. So went up to Adelaide for that. Getting warmed up in horse stables, literally. It was like a basketball stadium, but I don't know, about 500 metres away, there was like horse stables. And we were getting warmed up. There's horses here, and I'm thinking, getting wrapped up. And, you know, and we had to walk like 500 metres to the basketball stadium, into the ring outside. Yeah. You know, and it was like...
What were you thinking the whole way there? Was there an adrenaline rush?
Oh, my heart was going to jump out of my chest. I'm thinking, what is this, you know? So had the fight. It was, you know, I remember it was a 3-round fight, and I was just outclassed by the guy that I fought. I dropped him in the second, which, you know, I couldn't believe. I had an injury going into that fight as well.
What was it?
My ankle was sprained. Okay. So...
They didn't stop a 17-year-old Baris Nezif.
Nah. I was still getting used to the kickboxing, mate, you know, getting hit bone on bone and all that stuff. But 3 rounds later, you know, the other guy won the fight convincingly, but it was an entertaining fight. You know, the MC gave me the mic, and I'm talking, and Jamal's whispering in my ear. He's like, tell me it was your first fight. And I'm like, oh, yeah, by the way, it was my first fight. Rah, rah, rah. And the crowd just started applauding. I'm thinking, what's that? And the guy that I fought was walking away, and he stopped halfway. Jumped out of the ring to go back to the changing rooms, and this guy, my opponent, pulled me up. He waited for me. He's like, he looked at me, he goes, was that your first fight? I go, yeah. He goes, man, keep going. He goes, you'll do good. I go, yeah. I go, thanks, man. I go, how many fights you had? And he goes, well, it's like my 6th, 7th fight. Because I got a state title. I go, really? And I go, well, thanks, man. And I looked at Jamal, who was behind me, and he just looked at me, didn't say nothing. Went back to the changing rooms, and we didn't speak about it.
Yeah.
Then later, you know, Jamal said to me, he's like, He's like, you wanted to fight. He goes, I had no. He goes, this popped up. He goes, I thought you were ready. I thought you could handle it. And he goes, you did.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter win or lose. He goes, you fought good. He goes, you can only get better from here.
They gave you confidence, obviously.
And I'm like, yeah. Well, yeah, it gave me a bit of confidence. You know, my career, my first 15 fights were up and down, up and down. I had doubts in my mind, am I ever going to be any good? You know what I mean? So I wasn't a champion at the start. It took years before I bloomed. You know, all the persistence and hard work, it just one day it just came together.
Yeah.
You know?
What was the relationship like between you and Jamal?
Look, back then it was trainer-student, you know. He poured a lot of time and effort into me, you know.
Were you guys close?
We were close. We were very close, you know. I went to his house a number of times, you know. So yeah, back then we were close, you know. I started training in 1991, 92 with him.
Yeah.
You know, for a good 8-9 years. You know, because
how long was your career?
About 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you always train with him?
No, not always. You know, I always wanted him to be my trainer, but you know, kickboxing's a very political and brutal sport. You know, even us as fighters, there's not much money in it. Back then, there was not much money in it. You know, I didn't get paid after like 20 fights. My 20th fight, I started getting paid when I turned pro.
Yeah.
You know, and
it sounds a lot like jiu-jitsu now. Yet there's no money in it.
Yeah. I mean, especially back then. And, you know, year 2000, I'll never forget it. It's like I had a massive fight against Zambides, which I lost. And, you know, after that, everyone thought, that's it, I'm finished. Not in my head, I wasn't. You know, I was even hungrier. And I, you know, spoke to Jamal after that fight. It's like, I want to keep fighting with him. You know, coming to the gym, you're hardly there.
Yeah.
You know, he had another chicken shop business and he was coming from there to training and
I remember
business.
that. I was a little boy getting quarter chicken and chips off him.
That's the one.
Yeah. So, he used to always greet us. He used to like, how are you? You know what he's up to. You got to come to the gym. You got to start, you know.
Come to the gym, but he wasn't there back then. So, you know, I was a professional fighter back then. It was like, I was training on my own and I said to him, Hojam, you're not there. You know, I go, what am I going to do? I go, do you mind if I start training elsewhere? You know, and he said, you know, Baris, you got to do what you got to do. You know, he goes, I'm sorry I haven't got much time for you now, but that's when I started pretty much training myself and floating around, getting help from other trainers, you know, doing my own sparring, doing my own thing, you know. So after 2000 was the turning point when I was pretty much on my own.
Okay.
And 2000 to, you know, my career went on for another 15 years after that, longer.
Okay, did you ever get back with him?
Look, I always showed him respect. When I never had someone after him that was, yes, he's my set trainer. I always had helpers, you know, mates that helped me that were in my corner. And when the opportunity arose and I could have him in my corner, I would always pull him up and have him in my corner. So the respect was always there.
I mean, why was he such a great trainer? Because I look back at some of his fighters and they always seemed really, like he looked like he was really well prepared. Even with you, like I remember hearing him saying kick, punch, and you would do that. Like it was just, it was really great to watch him, you know, being behind someone. Yeah,
well, look, he had the experience. That was his job. You know what I mean? He had the experience. And
how did he help you with your fights? With some of your fights?
We had that connection. It's like any fighter. Like if you got to have a connection with your trainer. If you don't gel with your trainer, you could have. Doesn't matter who it is. You could have the best trainer in the world, but if you don't gel, you're not going to fight well. You know, that's the thing with me and Jamal. We gelled well.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, most of our boys from Jamal's that did fight, you know, he had a lot of good amateur fighters. He had a lot of good amateur fighters, and he had a small group of good professional fighters.
Yeah,
which were probably free. You know what I mean? So the professional fighters, like let's say 20, 30 good amateur fighters,
Yeah.
to get up to that level where you're a good professional fighter, world class, was a big leap, and a lot of them couldn't do that. So Jamal was fortunate in the sense where he had a lot of good amateur fighters, but the ones that reached world class level actually put in the time and killed themselves to get to that. You know what I mean? And Jamal was there to push you if you wanted to be pushed. So that was the difference. You know.
I don't know if this is something I heard, but I think Tarek Solak was there training with him, and Jamal helped him kind of become a promoter. And there was other guys like, was Gurkan Özkan also there as well? Like, was this when this whole kickboxing thing was starting? Were they all in that one place?
Well, pretty much after Jalal Abi's career ended, us boys started.
And how did it end?
Well, when he lost his fight with Ian,
Yeah, he pulled back.
he pulled back
Okay.
a lot. You know what I mean? And then us boys, he was the inspiration. That's what sort of got us into it. And we trained heart and soul with Jamal.
Yeah.
Back then, so
We were having a discussion. There was you said something about going to jail. I think you said you were in for about 4 months or
6 months.
6 months.
2013.
Tell me about that. What was that like?
Nothing much to say. What do you want me to tell you? My experience in jail?
Yeah, I've never been in jail. So what was that like? So why did that happen, and what happened in there?
Well, to cut a long story short, it was over an breach of an intervention order, which I didn't take seriously. There was an intervention order in place with my ex, you could say.
Yeah.
Without getting too much in detail into that, I breached, and wasn't a serious breach, and I just got locked up for 6 months for that. And wow, what can I say? For someone that I felt like I've done nothing, and I'm doing 6 months jail, and I'm locked up with guys that have literally killed their missuses.
Wow.
I'm locked up with murderers.
Which prison was that?
I was remanded for about a month in MRC, which is a prison up Tarneet Way, I think Tarneet.
Yeah.
It's a remand centre.
It's still there, yeah.
Yeah. Then I got shipped off to Sale. It's about 3 hours away.
Yeah.
So I was there, and it was like, like I said, I'm locked up with guys that have killed people, and I'm walking around with them, and it's like, why am I here with these people? I'm thinking to myself. I haven't committed a crime anywhere near what these guys have, and I'm here locked up with them.
Because they would have asked you, what are you in for?
Yeah. And I'm like, well,
Breaching intervention.
breaching intervention order.
They'll be looking at you.
Yeah. So,
weird, yeah.
No, not weird. It was like normal.
Okay.
That's the way the system is here. So, yeah, man, it was like I just did my own thing. Like, I just trained. I had a routine, and it was like I knew I was getting out in 6 months, so I was just kept my head down and did my time. Other people in there, they got that uncertainty. They don't know when they're getting out, or they're doing 10 years. So looking at them and the position I was in, I was very grateful. I'm thinking, thank God I'm getting out in 6 months, because if I was in here for a long time, I would go crazy. You know what I mean? So I had that light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah.
which a lot of these guys didn't. And at the same time, I wouldn't take it back. It was good experience. It opened my eyes, like how the system works. And it's like, I want to be as raw as possible.
Go for it.
Like,
We love it.
I'm locked up with a guy that has killed his missus, has literally chopped their head off, and coppers can't find the head. And I'm locked up. I'm having conversations with this guy. You know what I mean?
What was that conversation like?
It's like me talking to you.
No different.
you know, and he's taught.
In the back of your mind, this guy's killed his wife.
In the back of my mind, he's told me what he's done, and I'm like, he's just talking like it's normal, and I'm thinking, that's next level. I couldn't wrap my head around something like that. That's next level. Like I'm just going along with him. You know, I've had another guy that's, you know, stabbed his missus how many times, and she was lucky to be alive over a divorce. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, man. I was like, I couldn't do something like that, and I'm like, and these guys are telling me like, no, pretty much the message they were giving me is no woman is worth, you know, spending one day walking up and down this place. And it's true, you know, even though I could never wrap my head around doing something that violent that these guys have done, you know, maybe I was meant to see that.
Yeah.
You know?
Being in the north, being in Dallas, being around King Street, like we see stuff like that all the time, man, that type of abuse on women, especially just not too long ago, there was a lady wrapped up in a carpet and thrown on a walkway, and this guy that's gone for a jog sees feet sticking out.
Yeah.
And he's murdered his wife.
Even that guy in Queensland not long ago that burnt his wife and kids and then killed himself.
Moron. Yeah.
What is that? That's I can't comprehend that. I honestly can't.
Yeah, there was another one. I grew up with his older brother, and he took his little daughter, unfortunately, stabbed her a few times and left her at Greenvale Lake.
That one in Greenvale.
Yeah, man. He had his little princess in the back, 2-year-old. And
look at that.
How do you do that? At least I think. Anyway, yeah. Very hard to understand him. Very hard to understand him. But did you make any mates in there? Did you have any trouble in there?
I did make mates in there. When you say mates for the 6 months I was there.
Yeah.
That's it. Then when I was out, I seen a lot of these blokes on the street. So I just kept walking. A lot of them I seen that are junkies, you know.
I'm not going back there.
Yeah, nah. Prison's not a place for someone like me or anyone like me.
Yeah.
You know, prison's full of, you know, honestly, some unfortunate people, like I believe myself, and a lot of sick people that just are used to that life, go in and out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You see any trouble in there, or were you involved in any trouble?
Oh, yeah. I had a beauty when I was in there, a beauty. You know, I was playing tavla with backgammon, is it in English?
I love
tavla?
that game. I mean, you're going to play
I never knew how to play it.
And
this guy taught me how to play. So
are you good now?
I mean, I haven't played since then.
Okay.
Believe it or not, who am I going to play with? Yeah. You know, so I was playing tavla, and, you know, Joey was his name. It's a nice, solid boy, you know, but he was into the drug scene in jail, selling and this and that. And he had one deal that went wrong. Someone wasn't happy. And I'm playing tavla with him in our cell. And he got, you know, someone came to the door and was like, "Hey, Joey, can you come out for a sec?" He's like, "Yeah." So he thought he had another deal going or something. And he went out, and I saw the guys that popped their head around the door, you know, 60-kilo little, you know,
men.
drug-effed men, you could say, yeah, if you want to call them that. Called him out. Like if you blew at him, they'll fall over, you know. They got Joey around the corner. He walked out, and it was like, all I heard was like scuffling on the ground. Yes, like
something like that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. There was like some sort of scuffling on the ground, and I ran out to see what was going on, and Joe was just, so like one of the guys had Joey like this. They're talking to him, and they got him by his sleeves. You know, one of them's got him by the sleeves like that, so obviously he can't punch, and the other one just bang, 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 just stabbed him about 3-4 times here, and like in the stomach, and that I'll never forget the sound that made, you know, because I've never seen that before, and I'm like, and then they just ran off, and Joey's holding his gut, and he came back into the cell, and I'm like, bro, and he's holding his, and I'm like, mate, lift your top up, man. Let me see how bad it is. Lifted his top up and just like started pouring out, blood started pouring out like a tap. I went and got some tea towels, put them on there. He went and lied down. He ran and got the prison officers, and he was airlifted to hospital. Another 5 minutes, he would have been dead. They had to rush him to emergency, so he was in bloody hospital for about 2 weeks. You know, but you asked me what I seen in jail.
Yeah.
You know, what are the chances of seeing something like that? You know, it's like unbelievable. Literally over a $20 drug deal.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the sort of shit that can happen.
Yeah. And so, like, now we know it's a lot more stricter, but then it was obviously a lot more looser in jail. People could get drugs very easily.
Not really. It's the same now. You know what I mean? You know, people in there are supposed to be on medication. You go to get your medication, you know, you put it in your mouth, they keep it in their mouth, then they come back, they get that medication, and then they smoke it. That sort of shit that goes on.
Wow.
People will kill themselves over that sort of shit. It's like it's unbelievable. Yeah.
So when you got out, look, did you have any spiritual connection at all?
Yeah, well, I do. It was like after my second divorce, I you know, how old was I? You know, I was in my low 30s. You know, never learnt how to pray properly. You know, going into mosques, you know, back with Jamal and that here and there. My parents, I didn't see nothing from my parents. Yeah. You know, first time I went to a mosque was probably with Jamal, and I'm like following, don't know what's going on. You know, but for the first time after my second divorce, it's like I want to know how to pray. I want to get connected.
Why did you feel that way?
I mean, I was at my lowest point in life. It's like I'm going for a second divorce. I've got kids, 2 different wives, and it's like I just felt so low I couldn't explain it. You know, I can't explain the emotions. I was at my darkest point, and it's like I just turned to Allah, and it's like I had a few mates that, you know, taught me how to pray, and I just started feeling better, you know, and
so the emptiness inside started disappearing.
Yeah, you know, it made me realise that doesn't matter how alone I feel, I've always got Allah to turn to, you know,
yeah.
and it stopped me from, you know, maybe going the other way and doing really bad things. You know, look, I could never hurt a woman or take a life, something like that extreme.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, I was at my darkest points where I can't do that to someone else, but man, I was thinking doing it to myself, no problem. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because you got the fear of God. Yeah.
But because I had the fear of God, and, you know, it's like, I can't do this to myself because, you know, I do this to myself, I'm going to go to hell forever. Mm. You know, so you got to have that belief, and, you know, we're not here for, you know, I came to the belief that, you know, I'm 30, whatever. Am I going to live another 30 years? We're not going to be here forever. You know, we're all gonna return. Yeah. You know, to Allah. So.
Okay. How did kickboxing make you feel? So spiritually, you know, you're now connected. You're like, okay, I don't feel as empty when I've got God around. You know, when I believe in something like Allah. Yeah. But how did also kickboxing make you feel? Like when you went into that ring, did things disappear as well?
You know, kickboxing was the best, as in, gave me focus, especially in my younger years. For how many years? For 25 years. So throughout most of my life, it gave me focus. Mm. And when you got focus on a fight, or when you got focus on anything, it keeps your mind busy, you know, and it gets you through a lot of things. You know, kickboxing got me through a lot of hard times, you know. I've been divorced twice, like I said. Kickboxing was always in my life throughout my, you know, bad times, you know. Always gave me focus, you know, and kept my mind busy.
Yeah. What were some of the most memorable fights that you've had? The ones that you can remember the best?
Man, I've had a lot of memorable fights. I've had a lot of big fights, memorable in different ways. Yeah. Well, obviously the best fight, the most memorable fight, I guess, and it's freaky how things work. In 1991, when I first seen Jalal Abi fight Ian Jacobs and get knocked out, you know, who would have thought, that was in 1991, who would have thought in 2009 that I'd be in the ring with Ian Jacobs?
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it was an 8-man tournament. And what makes it even more special is his fight that he had first. He knocked out the guy in 1 second, had a world record. My fight, I had a war. I was dropped. I had a 3-round war. And then we fought each other in the semi-final in this tournament.
What, the same day? Or was
Same day.
Wow.
Yeah, so we fought each other in the semi-final. I was wounded. I had a hard time walking to the ring. He didn't have a fight. And like I said, what are the chances of us meeting?
Because before that, I remember him beating Gürkan Özkan as well.
Oh, yeah.
So he also bet Gürkan Özkan. And just before that, he bet Headhunter, was it? I think it was Headhunter.
That was on the 8-man tournament night.
So that was that same night?
Where he bet Headhunter.
Okay.
Gürkan he bet in 97.
Okay.
97 or 98, it was back then.
Yeah.
And 2009, we were in that tournament. And he knocked out Headhunter first round. And then I had him in the semi-finals. So he had no fight. I was battered and bruised and gone. I smashed him, you know. Like the punch that I hurt him with originally was an uppercut. And that was Jalal Abi's best punch when he was fighting, his uppercuts. So I rocked him with an uppercut, then knocked him out cold with a left hook. And he was out, he was gone, and I won that fight. And look, that was the most. What are the chances of that happening?
So you knocked him out?
Knocked him out cold, and he's never been knocked out cold.
Wow.
And it was like he's never been beat like that. So.
He's been caught. Baris is setting the right hand. There it goes. He hooks him again. Oh, the big it's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. Baris Nezif has shocked everyone. It's the grand reign. No, it's over, Ezra Carr. He did not count him. It's over. It is good night, Aydin. No, surely. No. Oh, it's gone. Surely it's over. The doctor hopped into the ring. He did too. It's going to be over. Ezra, stop this fight, Ezra. Stop this fight, Ezra. Stop this fight. Yes. Stop it. And surely stop the first time.
What are the chances? That still amazes me today.
I watched the atmosphere, like one of probably Tariq's best works, like the way the fireworks was going, the atmosphere, people were just like, screaming and yelling in the background. Yeah. What did that feel like?
That was surreal for me. I've had a lot of fights. That moment when I was walking up to the ring to fight Ian, it's like all my pain had gone, and I'm like, I'm here for a purpose. I'm meant to fight this guy. He's gonna have to kill me to win. Like, it was one of the best feelings ever. Yeah.
Just imagine. For someone that's very passionate in fighting and that loves the sport so much, to the extent you do, what was it like? What was reality like outside the ring?
Well, you know, a lot of elite fighters and maybe elite sportsmen have had this problem. It's like fighting. It's like, you train for, at an elite level, you'll train for months. You'll have your fight.
Yeah.
Fight's over. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Could be over in 2 minutes, knockout, whatever. Then when you step out of the ring, you got people that love you, whatever, and want to take, sign autographs or the limelight, whatever you want to call it. That only lasts for how long? Not long. Then when you're driving home or going home, it's over. How do you deal with that?
It's a good question.
How do you deal with that?
You tell me. I've never felt that before.
Yeah, well, for me it was hard, and I'm not getting paid much money. I've got my passion that drives me,
Yeah.
But I'm on the same level as someone that gets paid millions, and someone that gets paid millions and millions of dollars has got exactly the same problem as I had.
Yeah.
It's like that rush, that adrenaline. You're Superman when you're in that ring. You've trained to be Superman, literally, and fighting, getting hit and back. That's the ultimate contact sport.
Yeah.
It's a different adrenaline. So when you come out of that, and for someone that's married or you're going back to your family and playing family after training like an animal, fighting like an animal, yeah. Then you got to be civilized, come back to family, come back to the real world. That was hard to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, it was hard to deal with. And, you know, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, it's hard to deal with. And takes a special, if you're married, it takes a special kind of woman to understand that.
Yeah.
And you got kids, you know, you got to be normal around your kids. It's like,
because you're married now, you've got kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been married, always had kids, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but it is hard to adjust, you know, and a lot of elite sports people do get counselling, you know, and
we see it everywhere. We see it in the rugby, AFL.
That's right.
Yeah, Ben Cousins, for example, he's dealing with it really.
There you go.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Had the world at his feet, and now he's
very famous. He was very well off, and now he's in trouble.
Yeah. So it's good. You got to find that balance. You know, you got to find that balance. That's why I feel like a lot of the responsibility should lie on trainers that are training your young fighters or whatever. You know, you got to make, and it's a hard job to do to be a trainer. You got to have that
psychology as well as
You need it. You need it. Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
It's not about training a fighter, making him an animal, making him a world-class athlete. Yeah, he's achieved his goals. He's got belts, whatever. Then what? If you can't adjust to that, if you can't deal with that, I think that aspect is very important. Hasn't been available in the past, and it's probably rarely available now.
Hopefully we'll be able to create some awareness after this podcast. But what's your body like now on the training, and do you still get involved?
Yeah, look, alhamdulillah, my body is not 20 years old no more.
Yeah.
But I can still smash the bag. I still feel all right. You know, I haven't crumbled yet, only because I kept training, you know. But, you know, my body's feeling my age.
Yeah. Look, you've had a tough life. That's obvious. You've come out of kickboxing as a champion. You've saved a little girl's life. But tell us, what is the most painful moment of your life, your biggest regret?
My biggest regret, and there's not one most painful moment in my life, because I've had a lot of most painful moments in my life, a lot. But my biggest regrets are the damage I've done because of my anger in the past, you know, and even recently. You know what I mean? You know, and that's, you know, something I'm trying to deal with even today. You know, when I lose it, you know, you could be speaking to me like this now, but when I snap and I lose it, you're going to think, who is this bloke? Who is this bloke? You know what I mean? Lock him up.
Yeah.
You know, that's where he deserves to be. And it's like, I've hurt so many close ones just from my raising my voice, my body language, you know, loved ones I've hurt like that, and I'm not talking to. You know what I mean? And it's like, that is the biggest regret. It's like, that's what I'm trying to change, you know, because we're best friends now. I've got family that I'm close with, but when I snap, I don't see nothing, and that will just kill a person. You know, like, you know me, we're friends, whatever. You know, you think I'm a great bloke, but if I turn on you, you'll never want to see me again.
I guess it's like that, yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
It's like, look at this bloke. So
I can relate to you. Look, I had similar issues. Nothing as close enough anyway. Like, I would turn and I would break a lot of people's hearts, and, you know, I think what I realised though was I did need help. My next step was I needed to see a psychiatrist. There is someone coming on the show. Her name's Sanam. She's in Broadmeadows. She's helped me out a lot with my anger, with dealing with my anger. You know, I guess it's at a state where I still get a little angry, but I realise it. You know, I don't go red like you're talking about, and I realise it, and I kind of, you know, step back. I think she's going to be very good when she comes on the show, you know, to give us a little bit of insight about our brain, psychology, why these sort of things happen. Yeah.
I mean, and I guess it's worse for someone. I mean, it's worse for someone like me that's had such a traumatic life, you know. But someone that's had other people that have been involved in violence and mental abuse. at a young age, I guess it's worse for them sort of people because they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like you said, we need awareness. Mental issues, it's a big problem, isn't it now?
It is.
We need a lot of awareness.
Definitely, especially in our communities, especially here in North and Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, we've had a lot of young guys. Well, there's a lot of young guys watching this, obviously. What message do you want to give them?
A lot of young guys. Well, a lot of young guys, are going through a lot of problems, at home or whatever. Your parents are important. Always respect your parents. Faith is important. Like, especially the young guys that are, and I see it a lot, that are into the wrong stuff. You gotta realize something. If you think you're doing something and you're not gonna get caught, or there's always Allah watching every step you make. So if you genuinely fear Allah, that should be some sort of deterrent not to do something wrong. You know what I mean? So always remember there's someone watching over you, and if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling alone, you're never alone. We do have Allah who's always next to us. You know what I mean? But you're never alone. There is someone that loves you. There is someone that you can talk to. So you got to. If you don't reach
someone that believes in you.
That's right.
Yeah, just got to find them. I guess
they're everywhere. If you might think, for example, if you can't turn to your parents, just an example, you might have an uncle, you might have an auntie. They'll be more than happy to speak to you. You have to speak to someone. That's the most important thing. Don't think that you're alone and you're finished and you can't speak to anyone. That's the worst mistake you can make, because that's when negative thoughts, the shaitan will get into your head. Mm-hmm. That's when it can become overwhelming. So it's really important to understand you're never alone. That's great advice. And I guess on that note, I would like to thank you so much for coming on this show. Guys, we need your help. We need you to go on Facebook, like this page, share it, go on YouTube, and also subscribe. Also, we've got some really interesting episodes previously that you can watch. We wish you all the best. See you later.